Hi, Condor kids. I'm Ranger Dan. Today, we're at Hopper Mountain National Wildlife Refuge, and we're inside the bunkhouse where our biologists, maintenance, other staff, and partners stay while working on California condor conservation. Today, we're not just going to focus on the California condor, but we're going to focus on a variety of species that are part of that California condor food web that are found in the same ecosystem around Hopper Mountain National Wildlife Refuge and Southern California. We're going to be focusing on making observations and noticing adaptations or different characteristics and traits that would potentially help with survival or reproduction. We're going to be focused on survival, mainly diet, and we're going to be looking at different skulls, models made from plastic of skulls that we find here at Hopper Mountain National Wildlife Refuge. We're going to mostly look at the teeth and try and decide, is this animal a predator, a prey, or both? And does it mainly eat plants or animals or both? All right, hope you had your field journals ready and follow along with me. All right, our first species is going to be a species that I bet you're all fairly familiar with. You might have even seen them around your neighborhood or when you're out and about. And that is canine latrans, the coyote. I love coyotes. I saw two of them on my way up this morning, and they're just so cool. So you see this coyote skull, long snout, big sharp teeth up front that are actually called canines. Quite a few sharp, jagged teeth here. And then down in the back, you can see a couple of flatter teeth called molars, like you got in the back. So what do you think that the coyote might eat with big canines, these jagged teeth there, and those big flat molars in the back? Let's check out another canine species. Another dog. This is the gray fox, much smaller, right? The Channel Islands fox is even smaller than the gray fox that we find here on the mainland. Open it up and look at those teeth. Lots of sharp teeth. And again, those flat molars there in the back as well. So what do you think the gray fox would eat? We're going to go and look at a few bird skulls now, starting with our famous, magnificent, endangered California condor. They have a really large skull, really big beak, really strong with that big, sharp tip, curved tip. It's hard to notice on this skull because we can't open it up, but where that bottom jaw and top jaw meet on the beak, it's actually like a pair of scissors. Really good for slicing. And if we had a live condor and we could look inside of its mouth, like you'll see in your journal in a few pages, its tongue is shaped like a taco, but like that. And it has spikes or barbs all along its tongue pointing backwards. It has those barbs, those spikes on the roof of its mouth too, pointing backwards. So what could this big, strong, sharp, curved beak, scissor-like action, and all those barbs and taco-shaped tongue have in common to help tell you about what this bird might eat? Next up is the golden eagle. Now, golden eagle has a pretty large head, a lot shorter than the California condors, but it has that big, strong, sharp hooked beak as well. And it also has really large eyes. You can see those eye sockets. So this animal can see really, really, really well. All right, what do we think about the golden eagle? Next up, this is a species I know that every one of you has seen. You might have called it something different, or you might have seen something different and called it this, but you've definitely seen a raven before. You might have seen a crow and thought it was a raven, or seen a raven and thought it was a crow. So they're really similar, but ravens are bigger, and they actually have a slightly different diet as well. Maybe we can infer about it based off of this big, long, strong, slightly curved beak. All right. So what do you think? Plants, animals, or both? All right. Next up, we're going to move on and look at our cat family that we have here in Southern California. We're going to look at 2 species from it. Much different in size, very similar in shape and structure, though. So any guess on what the big skull is? It's not a saber-toothed tiger. It's still alive today. And I know some of you said mountain lion. Good job. So yeah, we can check out this mountain lion has those real sharp canine teeth, lots of jagged, sharp teeth down the back, and no flat molars whatsoever. Look at that. Another thing that I want to point out, some other characteristics that we can observe, it's going to be these empty spots here. So this back empty spot, that's where all the muscles that connect to this jaw are going to sit. And see how much space there is here? It's a really big area to put a lot of big muscles in there. So we can infer that this is going to have a really strong jaw with all that space for those muscles. And the other thing we can look at is the eye sockets. So if we imagine an eyeball in each one of these, it'd be looking right at you, straight ahead. And we can use those observations to make predictions about what we think this animal would eat and if it's going to behave like a predator or a prey. The bobcat has the same structure as the mountain lion. Those big jaw muscles, big forward-facing eyes, all those sharp teeth, no molars in the back. So what do you think? Predator, prey, carnivore, which means a meat eater, herbivore, which means a plant eater, or omnivore, which means it eats plants and animals. All right, next up, we have another skull. Pretty big one again. And this is our mule deer. That's the most common deer we have here in Southern California. We also have tule elk. They're not quite as common. So you can see on the bottom jaw, we got those incisors, big gap, and all these molars. And if we look at the face, those eyes, if we imagine, sticking that way and that way, not so forward facing as the mountain lions, definitely looking out to the left and the right a lot more. So what could that indicate to us about this species' diet or behavior? Those big flat molars, those big wide set out facing eyes. This next skull can be a little tricky for some folk, and I don't blame them. Because what we see here is some big sharp teeth up front. And then there's these little teeth in the back, but they're kind of sharp compared to some of these other molars we've looked at. The top ones are not so sharp. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly, but these aren't quite like the canines that we saw on the coyote and the mountain lion. But maybe the eyes can tell us a story. So are those eyes looking straight forward, right at one thing? Or are they spread out to the side, keeping track of everything around and make sure nothing's going on that's funny? Okay, now we're gonna look at our last skull, which is actually our largest skull as well. So what do you think this animal is? Who said T-Rex? It's not a T-Rex. But it does seem like a dinosaur skull being so big with all those teeth. It's actually American black bear. Those of you that guessed bear, good job. So we see those big sharp canines up front, a couple sharp teeth, and lots of these molars. Not really too many of those sharp jagged teeth up front, but lots of these flat molars on top and on bottom. But it definitely has those big canines that we saw. It also has quite a lot of space for those jaw muscles. And that looks like more forward facing than outward facing eyeballs to me. So what do you think about the black bear? What does it eat and how does it behave? All right, so we got our skulls finished up here, and you've got all your notes, your observations, your predictions in your journal. Continue on in your journal. You're gonna do some research to find out exactly what food sources these different species enjoy, and then we're gonna build a model of the food web here at Hopper Mountain National Wildlife Refuge that we can use to make predictions and to understand how these species interact with each other and what might happen if different ones of them are impacted in different ways. All right, thanks Condor kids, bye.